The class of 2024 is all but over, which means that all eyes are going to the class of 2025, in which players Matt Rhule and the Cornhuskers are looking to add to this squad. So in this video, I compiled a list of about 20 guys that Matt Rhule's going after, and I cut that down to 5, and we'll go in detail on these 5 players that the Cornhuskers are looking to add to the roster, guys who would be huge additions for the future years of this program. So without further ado, let's get in the video. But if you like the content, please hit the like button on this video. Really helps me out, and hit the subscribe button. Again, we have more film breakdowns coming down the pipeline. People love that, and more recruiting videos, so you definitely don't want to miss any of that this offseason. But without further ado, let's get into it. So yeah, the class of 2025, one of the better classes we've seen in a while, especially for the state of Nebraska. And Matt Rhule, luckily, has already locked down a lot of the guys. Tyson Terry, committed. Caden Vermas, committed. Connor Booth, committed. So he's already locked down the state. But there's one guy on the top who is not committed to Nebraska yet, and he goes by the name of Christian Jones, top 100 player in the country, listed at linebacker, plays for Westside High, used to play for Omaha Burke, and this guy is a complete athletic stud, listed 70 tackles, 14 TFLs, a couple forced fumbles, 1 pick 6, and he plays both sides of the football as well, plays tight end for the Warriors, had about 500 yards receiving. I mean, this is a guy who can do anything he wants for this Westside crew, has offers all around the country. I mean, any program, Alabama, Georgia, you name it, this guy has it. Ohio State, Notre Dame, right, keep going. Just a complete freak athlete. One of the best prospects we've seen from the state in a very long time. Yeah, I'd go as far to say that he might even be a better prospect when it's said and done than Carter Nelson was this year. So this guy is a must-get for Matt Rhule, and not only is he a heck of a player, but he comes in our biggest need, which is linebacker. This is a group that we'll lose 2 of our best guys. We're going to lose John Bullock after next year. We're going to lose probably some guys in the portal. The linebacker room has not been great for Nebraska. Christian Jones, if you land him, he is an instant impact. And I know there's a reason why Matt Rhule has went to a lot of Westside games to scout out this young man. And part of his message has been to lock down the state of Nebraska. You cannot lock down the state of Nebraska without locking down Omaha first. That comes first. Again, like it or not, the best talent comes from the Metro. He is the best talent from the Metro. You got to lock down Christian Jones, a guy who's been on our radar since he was a freshman in high school at Burke, and now is finally going to become a senior. And about time. You got to get him to sign Nebraska. That would be huge. And again, the last thing I'll say about Christian Jones is that the Metro is a family, right? All the coaches know each other. All the players know each other. You've got to keep a good relation with the coaches, with the players, because here's what Scott Frost did. Scott Frost did not visit the coaches very much. He was not on the same page with them. And then because of that, all the coaches said, hey, you do not want to go play in Lincoln, Nebraska. And we lost a lot of these Omaha guys because it's a fraternity, right? All these guys talk to each other. So Matt Rhule's doing a good job keeping everybody together, doing a good job talking to the Omaha coaches, but you got to continue that. You got to lock down Christian Jones. So that's the first one. No-brainer, number 1 on my big board. Number 2 on my big board is at the quarterback position. Alex Mansky, from Iowa, sitting at quarterback, 3-star. He has been to Nebraska on a visit, and we're talking about a traditional dual-threat quarterback. Has some offers from Iowa State, Iowa, Kansas State. That's places he's leaning right now, but again, very interested in Nebraska. A guy who ran for 800 yards on the ground with about 2,000 passing yards last year as a junior. I will say this. He was a Nebraska lean for a very long time. With Dylan Rhule, however, I think that's going to scare off a lot of these 2025 quarterbacks. Where you basically think, I'm not going to start for a while if I'm going to come to Nebraska. Why would I commit there? So I think that's going to scare off a lot of guys. If it weren't for Dylan Rhule, right, I think he probably would be a lock to commit to Nebraska, but we have to try a lot harder as a staff to get him on board, especially with Daniel Kalin as well. We're sitting at a point where if we don't get Alex Mansky, we haven't offered a lot of 2025 quarterbacks. I doubt we even get a 2025 quarterback if we don't get this guy. So definitely a must get. I think we need to get a 2025 quarterback because I'm tired of getting portal quarterbacks, even for depth purposes. I hate getting that every single year. Would like to pick up another young guy in this class. So definitely a huge addition. He's number 1 on my quarterback big board, a guy who could do it all for Nebraska. Strong arm, great legs, really smart quarterback. And hopefully we can fend off Iowa State, who's right now the projected favorite to get him. But again, he was very interested in Nebraska, and he has a couple of Nebraska ties. Now on to number 3 on my big board, another in-state kid. Now at the tight end position, Chase Lofton was at Elkhorn North, now is going to Millard South. You see the helmet in the back. I'm a big Millard South fan. About to be an alumni for Millard South. So Chase Lofton, big addition there. He's going to join them his senior year of high school. Just a stud, really athletic tight end, the guy who runs that 4.6 speed, really tall. Really lanky, has a bunch of really good offers from Texas A&M, Miami, Duke, Kansas State, Oklahoma, which is basically the biggest school we're fending off for him right now. Had 500 yards receiving for Elkhorn North. I mean, honestly, I expected a little more from him producing wise, but that's good enough, right? Just a really, really good talent. He's been in Nebraska a couple times. Was at a Friday Night Lights camp at Nebraska who performed pretty well. So Chase Lofton's been a guy who has been on our board for a little while, but a guy who has definitely started to produce and get his name called nationally. And he's getting a lot of national interest. So a guy that we got to fend off a little bit for. Definitely just lock down the state, lock down Omaha. Chase Lofton, number 3 on my big board. Got to get him to Lincoln. So this guy's number 4 on my big board. And this might be the best player, period, in this entire class. Douglas Utu, coming from Bishop Gorman in Nevada. Listed as a top 100 player in the country. OT, tackle position, Polynesian, 6'5", 170. And you look at the offer list for this kid. Again, he's a top 200 player in the country. Bama, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State. You want to know the best part about all this? There's rumors that he's a silent commit already in Nebraska. You hear the name Bishop Gorman. We recently added a tackle from Bishop Gorman by the name of Alexander Regolery. Definitely butchered that name, by the way. But we recently added him, and they're big friends there. And there's rumors that he's already an instant silent commit to Nebraska. This would be huge. Again, just almost probably one of the better tackle commits we've had in the last decade is Douglas Utu. And I keep saying, you got to build up this Polynesian pipeline. There are so many good Polynesian players that come from, Nevada, California, Hawaii, Utah, right? And none of these guys are going to the SEC. And none of these guys are going to the Big Ten. You know what they're going? Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, Utah. Because Polynesian, they stay in packs, right? They're brothers, and we really have yet, and we've tried to tap into that pipeline, and we haven't done it very successfully. Thankfully, we have an O-line coach by the name of Donovan Raiola, who is doing a phenomenal job recruiting and trying to break down that barriers. We already have a couple Polynesians on the roster because of that. I'm a huge proponent of the Polynesian pipeline. I've always been. You got to get these guys in because they're so talented. I mean, I'm so jealous every time I watch Utah or Oregon. I mean, they just have stud linebacker, stud tackle, time and time again. Like, we need to tap into this talent base, and they're looking to do so with Douglas Utu. This is a huge kid. This would be huge. Again, he checks all the boxes from the tackle position. And again, rumored to be a silent commit. We'll see if that holds true. Again, you still got to fight him off. I'll say this also with commits. Nothing is certain. There's no such thing as commitments anymore, right? What's certain is when they sign the dotted line. Commitments is just, okay, I'm interested in you more than everybody else at the time, right? So I don't even buy into commitments because people decommit 24/7. But there is rumors that he's a silent commit. So that's number 4. We'll go over one last guy, and this one's number 5. This one, I just said Utu might be the best, but this might be the best. Jaden Woods coming out of Kansas. And I'm going to say this real quick about Kansas. This is one of the best recruiting classes we've seen come from the state of Kansas in a very long time. They have 4-star after 4-star after 4-star. They have 3 top 100 players, more than 10 4-stars. When have we ever seen this much talent come from the state of Kansas? Ridiculous. Matt Rhule has got to go down there on a couple of visiting trips. Kansas is looking great, and it's only getting better. The talent from that state is getting a lot better. They're a next-door neighbor, right? And they only have 2 colleges in that state. Kansas, come on. If we're getting beat out by recruits by Kansas, there's something wrong. And then Kansas State, same deal, right? We should not be getting beat out by Kansas State. So Jaden Woods, let's get into him. 6'3", 240. He's at that edge position. Pass rusher. Another big need for Nebraska. A lot of really good offers. Again, you keep seeing that. Offers all over the country. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. Top 200 player in the country. He's a 4-star. A guy who had 7 sacks as a junior, 71 tackles total. A guy who flies over the field when you watch film. And already, has some interest in Nebraska. Has yet to come on a visit, but looks like he might soon have one. So we need to lock him down, but this goes for the state of Kansas in general. Real quick, I want to pull up some of their 2025 guys here who are coming from that state, but it's just full of talent. Let's look at this here. Their number one player in the state is listed as the 20th best player in the country, Andrew Babola, at that tackle spot. Then they have the 36th best player in the country at the tight end spot named Lincoln Cure. There's Jaden Woods, listed as a top 100 player. Another tight end, another linebacker, 4-star after 4-star. This is a very good class from Kansas. You have got to tap into this because getting all Nebraska kids is nice, right? And tapping into Nebraska and tapping into Iowa is nice. Got to lock down Kansas. Lock down the borders, everybody. Yeah. And I would be we need to go after this other tackle too from Kansas named Andrew Babola. He just missed out on my top 5, but we're talking about a dude who's listed at 6'6", 280. Haven't done my homework as much on him, but he has offers from Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Penn State, Michigan, Florida State, Florida, you name it. So, again, a lot of good talent from Kansas, and we'll keep you updated about that as well as the recruiting cycle goes. So, those are my top 5 guys, and, again, we'll have more updates as the offseason goes. Again, the 2025 class is just starting, right? No visits have been scheduled, but Matt Rhule is going after these 5, and I'm going to tell you this right now. If they end up signing the dotted line, that would be huge for this program. You know, Matt Rhule keeps talking about wanting to build this the old school way, right? He doesn't want to do this primarily through the portal. He wants to build it through classes. This is where you prove to us that you want to do that way, right? Prove to us that you want to recruit at a high level and turn around the program. You start by getting really good players from the bordering states like Kansas and building pipelines like you are in Bishop Gorman and with the Polynesia pipeline. So that's my video, everybody. Let me know what you think. Let me know who else you want to go after in the 2025 class and if you're excited about the prospects that we may or may not sign. So as always, everybody, go Big Red, go Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.